The first thing they laughed at wasn't my clothes or my shoes. It was the way I walked into that school like I didn't owe anyone an explanation. No entourage, no expensive car, no noise. Just me, a quiet girl with a backpack that had seen better days stepping into a place where confidence was usually rented by the hour. And yeah, that laugh followed me for a long time. I didn't come from nothing, but I learned early that looking ordinary is enough to make people assume you are. My mom and I had just moved back to the city after years abroad trying to start over after losing my dad. I didn't want attention. I didn't want sympathy. I just wanted to finish school, blend in, and survive. That's it. But at Ridgeway Academy, blending in wasn't an option. People there measured you in brands and posture and how loudly you announced yourself. Quiet felt like weakness to them. The first day, I felt it immediately. Eyes scanning me like I was an unfinished sentence. Whispers that didn't even bother to be subtle. She looks lost. Is she new or just poor? And then there was her, the girl everyone revolved around, tall, polished, smiling like she owned the air. Her name was Lila Monroe. Perfect hair, perfect laugh, perfect timing. She didn't insult me right away. She just looked me up and down, tilted her head, and smiled like she'd already decided where I belonged. It started small, little comments that sounded harmless if you weren't listening carefully. "Oh, you're brave for dressing like that here." Or my favorite, "I love how you don't even try." Her friends laughed every time like it was scripted. I didn't react. I kept my head down. That drove her crazy. Because bullies don't want fights, they want reactions. The breaking point came in the cafeteria. I was sitting alone trying to eat without feeling like every bite was being judged when she slid into the seat across from me. Smiling, sweet voice. "You know," she said loud enough for people nearby to hear, "this school can be overwhelming for people who don't belong." I looked up at her and said, calm as I could, "Good thing I'm exactly where I need to be." The table went quiet. Her smile tightened. And that's when I knew I wasn't invisible anymore. I was a problem. From that day on, things escalated. Rumors, edited photos, group chats I wasn't part of but somehow always heard about. They called me charity case. They called me background girl. They laughed when I walked by, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. It did, a lot. Some nights I'd sit on my bed staring at the ceiling wondering what I did wrong just by existing. But there was something inside me that refused to break. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was exhaustion. Or maybe it was the quiet promise I made to myself that I wouldn't become small just to make other people comfortable. Then came the setup. Lila invited me to a weekend hangout acting like she wanted peace. Beach music photos. I almost didn't go. Every instinct in me screamed no. But part of me was tired of hiding. Tired of being alone. I wanted to believe people could change. That was my mistake. They humiliated me. Cameras out, laughter everywhere. A moment that should have been private turned into a joke for everyone to consume. I ran. I cried until my chest hurt. And by morning, my name wasn't my name anymore. It was a meme. A punchline. Something people shared without thinking about the person on the other side of the screen. That night, my mom sat beside me and said something that changed everything. "There's something you need to know about your father." The next day, she took me somewhere I'd never been. A gated estate so quiet it felt unreal. Guards. Silence. Power without noise. And then I met my grandmother for the first time. A woman who didn't raise her voice but somehow commanded the room. She told me the truth. My father wasn't just successful. He was heir to something bigger, a legacy, a responsibility. And so was I. I didn't want it. I said no immediately. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want a title. I wanted peace. She didn't force me. She offered a choice. Train quietly. Learn who you are. Decide later. I agreed, not because I wanted a crown, but because for the first time someone wasn't telling me who I had to be. Training wasn't glamorous. It was posture. Eye contact. Speaking without apologizing. Standing still without shrinking. It felt awkward at first, like I was pretending. But slowly, something shifted. I didn't change my clothes. I changed how I carried myself inside them. When I went back to Ridgeway, people noticed. I walked the same halls, wore the same simple outfits, but I wasn't avoiding anyone anymore. I wasn't rushing. I wasn't looking down. And Lila saw it. She felt it. The attention she'd spent years collecting was slipping not because I wanted it, but because confidence has a way of pulling focus without trying. She snapped. Threw a party at a mansion she claimed was hers. Big lie. Bigger mistake. My mom showed up. The truth unraveled in real time. Her mother worked there. The house wasn't hers. None of it was. Watching her world collapse was uncomfortable even for me. I didn't feel victory. I felt pity. But she wasn't done, not even close. She blamed me for everything, accused me of things I didn't do, and when that didn't work, she crossed a line no one should ever cross. She had me taken, locked in a warehouse tied to a chair, screaming about how unfair life was, how I had everything and she had nothing. She wanted me to beg. She wanted me to feel small. I was terrified, but I didn't beg. I just looked at her and said, "This won't fix you." That made her angrier than anything else. Help came. Someone noticed I was missing. Someone cared enough to look. Doors burst open. Lights, voices, police. She cried when they took her away. Not angry cries. Broken ones. "I just wanted to matter," she said. And in that moment I understood something painful. Hurt people, but that doesn't excuse the damage they cause. I didn't go back to school right away. I needed time. Healing isn't instant. But when I did return, something was different. Not just how people treated me, but how I saw myself. I wasn't there to prove anything anymore. I wasn't there to be liked. I was there because I belonged. Period. Later, at an event that marked a turning point in my life, I stood in front of a room full of people who thought they knew my story. I told them they were wrong. I wasn't a poor girl. I wasn't a rich girl. I wasn't a victim or a princess first. I was human. I chose responsibility over revenge, purpose over pride. And yeah, it scared me. But growth usually does. Today, when I walk into a room, I don't announce myself. I don't need to. I've learned that real power doesn't shout. It stands. And it lets the world adjust. So here's my question to you. Was Lila just evil, or was she a product of a system that taught her worth equals attention? Was I right to forgive, or should some lines mean no second chances? Where do we draw that line between understanding and accountability? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear them.